Are you thinking about picking up the Sony a7C? Are you still not 100% sure? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you 9 reasons why you should pick up the Sony a7C. First reason is, this thing is a full frame camera. I've come from the APS-C world. I was recently shooting on the Sony a6400, and that was a great camera to begin with. But now, with the Sony a7C, I now have full frame capabilities in the same compact body. This full frame sensor does a much better job with high ISO and better in low light. And I noticed the picture is just a little bit crisper than the Sony a6400. And I think that's due to the full frame sensor being able to capture more light to make the image look even better. With that full frame sensor comes better glass. And why do I say that? Now, the Sony a6400 and other APS-C cameras do have good glass. You have the Sigma Trinity, and you also have the Sony 16 to 55mm G lens, which are all great lenses, and I've owned them. But the problem is that's like the best glass you can get for the a6400 or your APS-C camera. All the Sony cameras share the E-mount, which of course is great, but putting full frame glass on an APS-C camera just does not yield you the best results. Upgrading to the full frame, it gets you better lenses that have stabilization or just a wider focal length. For example, I got the Sony 20mm G lens. Now that's gonna go ahead and be a lot easier to vlog with and also take videos of the family. I was using the Sigma 16mm with the Sony a6400, and albeit that 24mm focal length is great, it's a great focal length, but sometimes you just wanna get a little bit wider. The full frame cameras offer you that opportunity because you don't have to deal with a 1.5 times crop. Number 3, this is a compact body. So similar to the a6400, 6600, this thing is a compact body, which makes it very easy to vlog with, set up on gimbals, or whatever you need to do. This camera does not look overbearing or too big, so when you're out in public, it doesn't look like you got this massive camera. Now, albeit full frame lenses do make this camera look a lot bigger than an APS-C camera, it doesn't have that look that a full frame camera has. So it's nice and tight and small and compact, and I absolutely love it. And a lot of people have complained about the grip of this camera. To me, I haven't found it to be too much of a problem. And that's why I think the compact nature of this camera is really awesome. I don't know if you're like me, but I obsess over how my colors look. Recently, I did pick up the BenQ 27-inch photography monitor. It's a 2K monitor. It helps with creating more accurate skin tones. I've just absolutely been crazy about it. So my 4th reason for picking up the Sony a7C is it's got just a slight tweak on the old color science. So I do find that the skin tones don't look as reddish, I would say, as in the Sony a6400. I think the a7C has done a much better job of really making your skin tones look really nice, really making it pop. Okay, so this is the picture profile off, ISO at 100, and f1.8 for each lens. No color grading needed. Which image do you like better, the a7C or the a6400? Go ahead and comment down below. Also, with that full frame sensor, you're gathering more light, which is gonna give you a little bit more flexibility in post. This camera also gives you better ISO performance. So my number 5th reason for picking this up is better in low light due to the better ISO performance. Like I said, I'm coming from the Sony a6400, and that camera, if I push the video past 6400 on the ISO, it would really start breaking down in the post-production, even if I was just trying to tweak the colors just a little bit. The Sony a7C, I can definitely push it to at least 12,000 ISO before it starts really breaking down. I get a little bit more flexibility. I do a lot more shooting around the house than I do outside, so getting that extra ISO performance definitely helps out in making the image look a little bit crisper, a little bit nicer. Now, normally for these talking head videos, it didn't really matter because I have a good light source, which is definitely helping illuminate me, and when I do other videos, it also helps illuminate the subjects there. So I'm able to keep the ISO pretty low, like around 100 to 125, because I'm using the HLG2 picture profile. When you're out just using regular household lamps, you don't always have the best lighting, and that's where the ISO performance is gonna really come in and really help you out. Number 6 has to be, without question, the flip out screen. I had the Sony a6400, and that had a flip up screen, and that was great. Actually, I actually prefer that a little bit more to the flip out screen when you're doing these talking heads, because you can look straight down the lens right into the flip up screen, and you can see exactly what your shot's gonna look like. With this, I actually have to look off to the side to actually see how my shot is framed up. So it breaks that connection with the lens, where the Sony a6400 and the other APS-C cameras, you can look straight above and you can see exactly what your viewers are gonna see. With this camera, you definitely have to frame yourself up, do everything you need to do, avoid looking over at the screen, and look straight down the barrel of the lens. And I used the Rode Video Micro, and that has a pretty puffy dead cat. And one of the things I hated is that it blocked the screen just a little bit, just enough to aggravate you. And on top of it, the viewfinder had the little eye cup that would block the ISO, so I could never 100% see my settings. So that really frustrated me. I'm sitting here trying to frame up my shot. I want to make sure the ISO is just right. And I always had a problem with, because I couldn't see all my settings. And I like to do the manual settings. Now the flip out to the side screen, I can see everything. I can see that I'm at 150th shutter, I'm at f2, and I'm at ISO 100. And I can see everything. I can see my record levels, I can see my histograms, I can see that I've been recording now for 2 minutes on this clip. And I absolutely love that I have that. I can put the mic straight on top of the camera. It's not gonna get in the way. And I absolutely love that. The other advantage that this camera has, the number 7 reason why I think you should buy the Sony a7C, is because you have the ability to use Sony's digital shotgun microphone. The EMC B1M, real catchy name, right? You can throw this thing right into the hot shoe, and the hot shoe will activate the digital audio. Everything coming in through the audio jack is an analog signal that the camera then has to convert to digital. Using this Sony mic, you get to have digital audio coming right into your video clips. And I just think that just gives you a little extra crispiness when you're out there vlogging, or you're shooting somebody for maybe a documentary or something of that nature. So you're shooting somebody and you got that nice crisp audio. Number 8 is real simple: autofocus. I get it. Some people out there, manual focus, that's the way to go. You're buying a Sony camera, you're spending a decent amount of money. If it doesn't have autofocus, what are you doing? This has got eye tracking autofocus. So I can tell right now it's tracking this eye. Switch over here, now it's tracking this eye. Face detection is great, but to be able to get eye detection is even better. And since the Sony a7S3 came out, along with the ZV-1 and now the Sony a7C, all Sony cameras should have eye detect in video. And this camera has it. Now, before I talk about the 9 tip, if you're getting value out of this video, go ahead and click that like button and leave a comment down below. What camera are you currently shooting on? Now, the number 9 reason why I wanted to upgrade to the Sony a7C is because IBIS. Like I said, I came from the Sony a6400 that has no IBIS. So in video, when you're walking around, you really get that jerky motion, you get that wobbly edges. And the IBIS on this camera, albeit is not great, it is significantly better than having no IBIS. As long as you're doing your IBIS walk, you should be fine when you're walking with it. Now, bonus tip here for you. If you don't want to use the IBIS and you want to get even smoother footage, Sony has given this camera Gyro Stabilization. What does that mean? That basically means you can use their software Catalyst Browse to go ahead and stabilize your footage even further than the IBIS in this camera will let you. This is even better stabilization than the in-body stabilization that this camera offers. So there you have it. The 9 reasons, or I guess 10 reasons, why I decided to upgrade to the Sony a7C and why I've absolutely been loving this camera for the past month. If you like this video, I'm sure you're gonna like the video on the screen now. It's another video about the Sony a7C. Before you leave, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell.